YouTube? We do it all straight from the garage. Once again, we outside the garage. Got a 2017 Hyundai Sonata, and we just getting a click when we try to start, which normally means it's a starter. So Hyundai did a great job of placing starter on these. But in order to get to the starter, you got to remove the intake manifold right here. So first thing I'm gonna do, disconnect my negative battery cable. Then I'm gonna pull this air box out. Looks like a standard air box, so a couple clamps, maybe a couple 10mm bolts. Pull that out, and then we'll start fooling with the intake. So when I'm done with that, I'll be back. All right, so what I've done so far is I removed this intake hose that goes to the throttle body, and I removed this intake hose that sits here. It's got 3 body clips. You pry those up, and that'll slide out. Now we have access to the intake. I don't think I need to take that part off. So I want to move this wire harness out the way. I've already taken this one wire off here. I'll release it here, and then I got another wire down here that I'm gonna take off, and then these 2 here. And after that, I should be able to take this whole harness and move it back and get to the intake. Oh, also, I took off this breather tube off the valve cover, and there was a breather tube that was on this intake hose. So right now, I'm gonna release 1, 2, 3 down here, and that should move all of these wires out of my way. So let me get that done, and I'll be... All right, y'all, so I got my wiring harness out the way. Now I'm gonna remove this throttle body. I could bring it out with the intake, but it's got some coolant lines hooked up to it, so I'm just gonna move it out the way. And then once I get that, it's 4 10mm bolts. You got 1 here, 1 in the back, and then 2 on the face. Move that out the way. Got an oil leak too. You can see the valve cover gasket's leaking. I'll see if they want to do that at the same time, but that's a whole nother issue. And then so once I get that, I'll come back. All right, y'all, so I got ahead of myself. I apologize, but anyway, to pull this intake out, there's 6 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts. You pull those 5 bolts, and this one just lifted right out once I pulled those 5 bolts. So now you can see we have access to the starter. So remember, wiring harness, couple vacuum lines on both sides, 5 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it should pull out. Now I do know some of these cars have a bracket on the bottom. This one doesn't, so it just made it that much more easier for me. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pull this starter. Looks like we got a bolt up here and 1 down here. So there's 2 bolts holding the starter in. Feeling them, they appear to be around a 15mm. So I'll get those 2 out and I'll be back. Oh, and then you got a bolt back here that looks like a 12, and you got one right here that just pulls out. So that's why you want to make sure you disconnect your battery, because this wire is gonna be hot. All right, I'll be back. All right, y'all, so it was 2 14mm bolts, and then of course, like I told you, it was a 12 on the back and a clip-in connector, and there's your starter. So yeah, pretty simple process. Overall time about an hour. Take your time, and I believe anybody could get this done. So we'll go ahead and get the new starter, get it put back in opposite order, and this will be a good time to replace your intake gasket if you want to, and your throttle body gasket. So as we do it all straight from the garage, I appreciate you guys, and I'm out. Peace.